Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Mike Lindell at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98 for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. President Trump made history yesterday naming the first female to serve as the White House Chief of Staff, as the transition team is hard at work putting together the next team to lead the new Trump administration. Also, President Trump confirmed that border control is among his first priorities, as he says no choice but to carry out a mass deportation effort. President Joe Biden addressed the nation yesterday with a message of unity, saying that we have to accept the outcome of elections, win or lose. I kind of believe that message is probably more to his party than it is to ours. There's some monkeys on the loose in the lower part of South Carolina. And no, they're not Democrats. I've got this latest on the monkeys who evidently broke loose.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Wasting no time to put his team together, President-elect Donald Trump made history yesterday when he announced that his campaign co-chair, Susie Wiles, will become his White House Chief of Staff. Ms. Wiles will be the first female to ever serve in that position. Trump said in a statement, "Susie Wiles just helped me achieve one of the greatest political victories in American history and was an integral part of both my 2016 and 2020 campaign. Susie is tough, smart, innovative, and is universally admired and respected. She will continue to work tirelessly to make America great again." Wiles co-chaired the Trump-Vance campaign alongside Chris LaCivita. President-elect Donald Trump also affirmed yesterday that border security will be his top concern when he assumes office in January, regardless of the cost, he said. He said it's not a question of a price tag. It's not really that we have a choice. When people have killed and murdered, when drug lords have destroyed countries, and now they're going to go back to those countries because they're not going to stay here, Trump said, there's no price tag. Throughout his campaign, of course, President Trump has vowed to round up and remove millions of illegals who are in the U.S. now and who came here illegally, who snuck into our country. Actually, that's not a fair statement. Some didn't even sneak. Some came in via Joe Biden's cell phone app. He said this will be the largest deportation effort in our country's history. In an interview with the Post last month, House Speaker Mike Johnson estimated that 4.5 million illegal aliens will be first priority for removal. Johnson added that those who've already committed crimes would be singled out. He said they're in the system now, shoplifting or whatever it is, or having done things that are untoward or unlawful. We know who they are. We know what they've done. They're here, and we're going to detain them and send them back, he said. The soon-to-be 47th president has long maintained that he wants to build a wall or finish building the wall that he started almost 8 years ago. And he's been promising this throughout the campaign. Yet it has not affected, or actually it did affect, his support among Latino voters. Trump made significant gains with Latinos, with an exit poll by Edison Research indicating that 45% of that demographic backed President Trump over Kamala Harris, including 54% of Latino men. Trump said yesterday, "I started to see realignment could happen because the Democrats are not in line with the thinking of the country. You can't have defund the police, these kinds of things. They don't work, and the people understand that," he said. The Democrats, of course, have continued the blame game yesterday. They're still in shock. They can't believe what happened on Tuesday and what's continuing to happen as those majorities. We know we have 53 Senate seats now, and we're continuing to build on solidifying a House majority. But they just can't accept it. Democrats can't believe that Kamala Harris, their darling, didn't capture the support of Americans. The ladies on The View, they're still reeling. Joy Behar led the pack yesterday, scolding American voters, literally, for overlooking what she called an intelligent, qualified female candidate.
But I'd like to be positive, but today I don't feel, yesterday I felt better. Maybe it was the Valium. But today I feel like we lost the Senate, the Supreme Court, the executive branch. The House is on the verge of going to him. It's pathetic. There are no checks and balances. A completely intelligent, qualified woman lost to a guy who was simulating sex with a microphone. I mean, come on, America. Yeah.
Well, actually, Ms. Behar, there is checks and balances. And you saw our biggest check and balance on Tuesday, and that's the American people getting to decide who leads the country. And not because you think one should lead over the other, but because they know personally how Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have affected their individual lives. Joy Behar or none of the women on The View have a clue of what the people in America have experienced. Because they don't care if gasoline is $4, $5, $6, $7 a gallon. It does not affect them. They don't care that inflation is high. Yes, they're spending a little more, but when you have the wealth that they have, it doesn't matter. They don't look at prices. I dare say any of those women on that panel could tell you what a gallon of gas cost. So, of course, they're upset. But not all Democrats are baffled by what happened on Tuesday. Some know exactly what happened, and it appears that they're going to try to start a movement within the party to turn things back around. A Michigan-based Democrat activist is calling out Vice President Kamala Harris and her campaign for failing to win over black voters. And what he is saying is they harped on the issues of abortion instead of the economy and relying on corrupt local officials, he said, fake civil rights leaders like Al Sharpton and Hollywood stars to spread the message. And he's right. They paraded these and that's a good term. And he's an African-American leader. So he can call some of these civil rights leaders fake. Arthur Woodson is his name. He's a Flint resident who's met with Harris and partnered with the Biden White House as part of the Cancer Moonshot Initiative. He tore into Democrat nominees to Kamala Harris's team for its losing message and lack of ground game in Michigan during a phone call with the New York Post yesterday. According to Woodson, the Harris-Walz campaign ignored how President-elect Donald Trump and Republicans were connecting with black voters and other ethnic groups in Flint on what they considered the number one issue in the 2024 election. It's the economy, stupid. My words, not his. But that's exactly what he said. Rather than traveling around the country trying to spread division, talking about a woman's right of reproductive health, they should have been talking about things that affect every single person, in his case, in Michigan, in Detroit specifically. And that's high prices. That's inflation. And he's right. They need to listen to this man. The Democrat Party, and I hope they stay right where they were because that means we're going to keep winning. But the Democrat Party is lost. And I think some are starting to realize that. And as I have said in the last couple of days, I'm enjoying this way too much. To see the Democrats pointing the finger at one another, boy, it just warms my heart. They deserve it. They deserve each other. But getting back to this guy, Arthur Woodson in Flint, Michigan, he's dead on it. And he's not one of these high-profile political analysts like what's his name, James Carville. Although Carville has been saying all along too that they had the wrong message. Carville is, of course, the one who coined the phrase, "It's the economy, stupid." Carville has been reminding them of that, and they've just ignored him. For some reason, somebody along the way convinced Kamala Harris that people were more concerned about abortion than they were about their pocketbook, about their finances. And that's never going to be the case. Never. When times are tough, when inflation is high, when people are struggling to keep some of their paycheck in their pocket, that's going to be their top issue time and time again. All you have to do is look at history. That's the reason Jimmy Carter was a one-term president. We had inflation at that point of like 17%. Fuel prices skyrocketed. You couldn't afford a home. Interest rates were in the teens. And people showed Jimmy Carter the door because of it, because of how it affected them individually. Democrats didn't seem to learn from that, though. Some of these so-called political analysts, it doesn't take a whole lot to figure this out, folks. It's not rocket science. When people are hurting, they're going to do something about it. They're going to make a change, right, wrong, or indifferent. And that's exactly what we saw happen on Tuesday. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. This year, I really thought I was going to have to boycott the holidays. I was going to lock myself away and not come out until 2025. But after finding PhD weight loss, you can bet I'll be at every holiday party I'm invited to. That's because PhD weight loss helped me take control with great confidence, support, and my new healthy body. The best part, PhD weight loss did it all without harmful drugs that keep you dependent on them to maintain your weight loss. It's a natural, medication-free approach to weight loss crafted to naturally diminish food-related thoughts, hunger, and cravings, making your weight loss journey more sustainable and enjoyable. Take it from me, I lost 33 pounds. The PhD weight loss program teaches you not just what to eat and when, but also how to think differently about food and finally let go of those cravings and get rid of the hunger naturally. Don't lock yourself away this holiday season. Call PhD Weight Loss today at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. Continuing today's show, a sad day for Kirk Herbstreit as he shared the sad news yesterday that he had to put down his beloved golden retriever, Ben, following his battle with cancer. Herbstreit shared on social media, "This is really hard to write, but so many of you have loved and cared about Ben that I wanted to let you know. We found out today that cancer had spread throughout Ben's organs, and there was nothing left we could do. We had to let him go." Earlier this week, the college football and NFL analyst revealed that his dog Ben had been undergoing chemo treatments, but that the situation was deteriorating, saying that the next 24 to 48 hours would be a crucial stretch to see if he'd be able to survive. The bad news, we found out, of course, that he would not be able to. Ben, of course, since last year, football fans all around the country have just grown to love Ben as he traveled with Herbstreit via private jet, by the way, to the Thursday night football games. Herbstreit, of course, a color commentator, called for Amazon as well as college game day campuses. Saturday night college football games aired on ESPN. We all seem to feel like we had a personal relationship with Ben. We knew Ben, and those of us particularly who have dogs, Peggy and I, of course, love our Simon and Jesse, our two Cocker Spaniels. So we know exactly what the Herbstreit family is going through. And if you've ever had dogs or cats or any pet, you know that this is something that you'll eventually face. And it's a sad, sad thing to do, to have to give them up because they become such a large part of your life. He posted and honored Ben's memory yesterday, calling him one of one. He said, "I've had dogs my whole life, but Ben was one of one. He was smart, loving, gentle, patient, inquisitive, and welcoming to all. Always a big smile and a soft tail wag. He and I could communicate. He and I understood each other and had each other's backs. He was with me more than anyone at home and traveling with me for work. Such an easygoing companion, Herbstreit wrote. A hard day, but he will live within all of us forever. God, please bless his majestic soul, and thank you for putting him in my life for the last 10 years, a true blessing. Wow. I mean, it's painful for me to read it. Blessings and God's peace to Kirk Herbstreit and his entire family who are mourning the loss of their beloved Ben. President Joe Biden spoke yesterday. His message seemed to be one of unity, saying that the will of the people should always prevail, and adding that he will work with President Trump on a peaceful, orderly transfer of power.
For over 200 years, America has carried on the greatest experiment in self-government in the history of the world. And that's not hyperbole, that's a fact. We're the people. The people vote and choose their own leaders, and they do it peacefully. And we're in a democracy. The will of the people always prevails. Yesterday, I spoke with President-elect Trump to congratulate him on his victory. And I assured him that I'd direct my entire administration to work with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition. That's what the American people deserve. Yesterday, I also spoke with Vice President Harris. She's been a partner and a public servant. She ran an inspiring campaign, and everyone got to see something that I learned early on to respect so much, her character. She has a backbone like a ramrod. She has great character, true character. She gave her whole heart and effort, and she and her entire team should be proud of the campaign they ran.
So who do you think Joe Biden was speaking to yesterday? Obviously to his own party, right? To the Democrat Party. And this gets back to my theory all along. I mean, I'm sure Joe Biden wishes that his party could maintain power, but I'm not convinced that he's totally just disappointed that Kamala Harris lost. I think he's sort of deep down liking the idea a bit. He went on to remind us that campaigns are contests. There's a winner, and there's always a loser.
I know for some people, it's a time for victory, to state the obvious. For others, it's a time of loss. Campaigns are contests of competing visions. The country chooses one or the other. We accept the choice the country made. I've said many times, you can't love your country only when you win. You can't love your neighbor only when you agree. Something I hope we can do, no matter who you voted for, is see each other not as adversaries, but as fellow Americans. Bring down the temperature. I also hope we can lay to rest the question about the integrity of the American electoral system. It is honest, it is fair, and it is transparent. And it can be trusted, win or lose.
And I'll have to applaud Joe Biden for saying that, because he summed it up there, and he made it very clear to his party. They can't be second guessing Donald Trump's win or the Republicans' win in the Senate. And hopefully we'll pick up the rest of those House seats needed to have a majority in the House as well. But Joe Biden pretty much just laid the law down to the Democrats and said, look, folks, and he did mention Donald Trump early on in the speech, but he kept referencing the fact that there's a winner, there's a loser. Obviously, his party is the loser, and that you have to accept it. And that's what I love about this whole thing. There's no way anybody can second guess that the American people very loudly signaled on Tuesday, we're ready for a change. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, you didn't get the job done. So we're sending you home. You're fired. We're sending you home. And they can't second guess it. They can't challenge it. They can't say that Donald Trump really didn't win, because he did. He won not only the Electoral College, he won the popular vote. And that is a good day in America. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. I'll get back to some of the updates on our change of guard in Washington. But first, there's monkeys on the loose. Have you heard this story? The Beaufort County Sheriff's Office, Beaufort County, South Carolina, said that there's 43 monkeys that escaped the Alpha Genesis facility, which is located in Yamasee, South Carolina. This is down near the coast. They said that traps have been set up around the area and that the Yamasee Police Department is using thermal imaging cameras to try to find the monkeys. Officials say that residents are strongly advised to keep doors and windows secured to prevent the monkeys from entering their homes. If you spot any of the escaped animals, please contact 911 immediately and refrain from approaching them. So do not try to capture. Now, according to the report, the monkeys are described as young females weighing approximately 6 to 7 pounds. And they said that the animals have never been used for testing because they are so young and so small. A spokesperson for Alpha Genesis confirmed that the animals are too young to carry any type of disease. Now, this isn't the first time that the monkeys have escaped. They did very similar back in 2016 when 19 of the monkeys escaped. Now, I'm not quite sure what types of tests they use the monkeys for. But if you're in that area and you see a monkey, call 911. Do not try to apprehend the monkey. Jackie Henrick with Fox News called out Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday. And it is interesting what's going on now. I shared with you a few minutes ago some of what I thought was a very positive message from President Joe Biden. I think he said some things that needed to be said as far as the peaceful transfer of power and the fact that a campaign is a contest. There's a winner and there's a loser. But at the same time, you got to go back and you got to reflect on some of the things that they have been saying during this very heated campaign, some of the rhetoric. And that's what Jackie Henrick was calling Karine Jean-Pierre on yesterday, because yesterday Joe Biden very clearly said, hey, folks, we're going to be okay. It's not the end of our country. He said that. But yet, not too long ago, he and Kamala and some of the others were trying to paint the picture of Donald Trump, of that if he won, it would be a disaster, that our country would end, that he was Hitler, he's a fascist. So Jackie Henrick just simply asked Karine Jean-Pierre, would you try to reconcile that for us? Tell us what has changed here. The president yesterday congratulating Trump and saying that everything's going to be okay, yet just a few weeks ago, he was talking about a doomsday scenario if Donald Trump actually won. Here's the exchange.
Forward. Is
Sure.
examination happening at all inside, though? Because as Gabe mentioned, this administration messaged to millions of Americans that they're going to wake up the day after the election if Trump won and have their rights stripped away, that democracy would crumble, and the president said today we're going to be okay. So how do you square that?
I can square that. I'm going to square that in a way that hopefully makes sense, because I've been answering this question multiple times. The American people made the decision. There was an election 2 nights ago. There was. And it was a free and fair election. And we respect the election process. We do. And Americans spoke. And so the job of the president is to make sure we respect that. The job of the president is to make sure that we have a peaceful transfer of power. That is what the American people deserve. And that's what we're going to, it's not complicated. It's truly as simple as that. As simple as that. The president called the president-elect, invited him to the White House. You know why? Because that's customary. That is customary. That is what you do. If you respect what the American people decided, that's what you do. And that's what the president's going to make sure that the Trump transition has what it needs, which is being led, obviously, by our chief of staff here. Why? Because the president wants to lead by example. It's not complicated. It really isn't. That's important.
By example, is the message to people who are fearful based on what the messaging was about the state?
Well, now you're just twisting everything around, and that's really unfair. No, it is. No, Jackie, it's unfair, because I've been standing here trying to be very respectful to what happened the last 2 nights ago. Being respectful. I've been standing here saying that we respect the decision that the American people made. I've been standing here and saying that the president's going to put the American people first. I've been standing here talking about how the president's going to make sure that they get what they deserve, which is a peaceful transfer of power. I do not appreciate having my words twisted. That is, I have been very clear, very, very, very clear about what the president wants to do, and the vice president. We want to make sure that we deliver for the American people. They deserve a peaceful transfer of power, and that's what you're going to see.
And with that, she closed her 3-ring binder and walked off. I'll tell you, I'm not going to miss the daily briefings with KJP. Are you? She's one of the most arrogant press secretaries that we've ever had. She gets it. I mean, she tries to make people like Peter Doocy and Jackie Henrick and some of the people who are not in the can for the Democrats, but who ask legitimate questions. And she tries to make them feel stupid. And she always reverts back to, well, let me be very clear here, or I've always been very clear. Well, no, Corrine, you haven't been clear. There has been a conflicting message here, because, yes, your boss, not too many days ago, talked about the disaster and the bad effect that a win by Donald Trump would have on our country. And I appreciate the fact that yesterday he was calm and he seemed to be soothing the feelings of his party, of the losers in this contest. But you can't just back up on what you said. You can't deny that you haven't been painting a doomsday picture when you're in campaign mode. And that's the thing also that I just really have a problem with Karine Jean-Pierre. She always talks about when she doesn't want to answer a question, she'll always say, well, that's a political question. I can't get into politics from this podium. But boy, if it's something about Donald Trump, it never has stopped her. She's been very critical in a political way of Donald Trump from that podium. I'm not going to miss her at all. Not going to miss her at all. Now, she's probably going to land a job like Jen Psaki on one of the networks, but that's okay, because I don't watch them. I only watch them when there's something newsworthy that I want to watch. So if one of those networks wants to pay her a lot of money, let them do it. They can throw their money away. Great news, as we added one more number to our number of U.S. senators. We're at 53 now. Republican Dave McCormick showed three-term Democrat Senator Bob Casey of Pennsylvania, showed him the door of the U.S. Senate, that is, bringing a Pennsylvania political dynasty to an end and securing, again, the 53rd seat in the GOP's 2025 Senate majority. McCormick is a Army veteran, former hedge fund executive. He beat Casey by just over 30,000 votes and counting. The Associated Press did eventually call it McCormick's campaign, and he announced his win prior to the AP making the call. It's a close race. I mean, 30,000 votes in a state the size of Pennsylvania. It's a minuscule margin, and most likely there will be an automatic recount, but that's okay. The Pennsylvania law dictates for any race decided with less than 0.5 percentage points or less that there is an automatic recount. He'll be fine, though. The recount would take place November the 14th and have to be completed by November the 26th. Yesterday, around 1 o'clock, McCormick's campaign made it clear that they were calling it just around the same time that the AP called it. Casey's spokeswoman, Maddie McDaniel, made it very clear, though, that the senator's campaign was still clinging to some hope. Their statement said, as the Pennsylvania Secretary of State said this afternoon, there are tens of thousands of ballots across the Commonwealth still to count, which includes provisional ballots, military and overseas ballots, and mail ballots. This race is within a half a point and cannot be called while the votes of thousands of Pennsylvanians are still being counted. We will make sure every Pennsylvania's voice is heard. And I don't know that anyone's saying that it won't be. I think McCormick is just saying, hey, look, the odds are in our favor. We're going to win this one. McCormick's win marks the culmination of his, he's been working on this for about 2 years. You may recall that in 2022, he lost to Dr. Oz because Trump had endorsed Dr. Oz, but by fewer than 1,000 votes. I mean, that was a very, very close race. McCormick painted Casey as a stale and weak candidate who had achieved little for Pennsylvania. After serving nearly 18 years in the nation's capital. Throughout his campaign, he promised to deregulate the oil and gas industry, extend the Trump tax cuts, and to authorize U.S. military force against Mexican cartels to stop fentanyl and to get the southern border secured. McCormick will be a great addition to the U.S. Senate for sure. Whether you're replacing a broken appliance or maybe you're just upgrading, you're totally remodeling the kitchen, when it's time to get those new appliances, when you're ready for them, you don't want to have to wait weeks or even months to get started using them, right? Well, that's not the case when you shop with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. With over 11,000 square feet and 1,500 appliances at any given time, you can buy today and use today quite often. I'm talking about shopping with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse in Pickens. It's worth the short drive over to Pickens. Jeff, Johnny, Kyle, the whole team over there, they'll take good care of you. They have an award-winning service department, expert installation, extended warranties, and at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they treat you like family. You're more than just a credit card swipe to all the team over there. Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they're proud to offer Speed Queen, the only washer and dryers with manufacturer's warranties that cover parts and labor. You owe it to yourself if you're looking for a new appliance to head over to Pickens to Discounted Appliance Warehouse online at dawpickens.com. dawpickens.com. I'll get to some of your text messages in just a moment. The quote of the day yesterday, though, was a classic. You know, you've got the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, who just hates Donald Trump. She made it very clear yesterday that she is, quote, prepared to fight back against the Trump presidency. Well, a fierce ally of Donald Trump also had some words for the Attorney General yesterday, saying that the Trump administration will have no patience for the New York Attorney General if she weaponizes the legal system against the 47th president. He said during an appearance on The Benny Show, which is a podcast, I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term. Mike Davis said this. He's the founder of the Article 3 Project. which is an advocacy group that pushes for the nominations of conservative judges. He said, "Listen here, sweetheart. We're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat, you know what, in prison for conspiracy against rights. I promise you that." And look, he's right. They're not going to be messing around. They're not going to have any patience for people like Letitia James. Davis, who has been floated as a possible Trump pick for attorney general or maybe White House counsel, urged the New York Attorney General to think long and hard before potentially violating the president-elect's constitutional rights or any other American's constitutional rights. He said it's not going to happen again. And this is how we have to treat these people. We have to let them know up front, very clear, there are going to be consequences for your continued bad behavior. You don't have control of the judiciary anymore. We're not going to weaponize it against you, and you're certainly not going to weaponize it against us. The day after Trump's huge win on Tuesday, James threatened to use the rule of law to fight back, she said, against a future administration, noting that her office has been preparing for several months to counter Trump's ascendance. You may recall James won the $454 million civil fraud judgment against Trump earlier this year after accusing the former president of inflating his net worth by billions of dollars to get better loan and insurance terms. Although none of the banks have complained, none of the insurance companies had complained. And they made it very clear during the court trial that they didn't rely on Trump's numbers because they did their own. Trump has that case under appeal still. Davis said in an interview with Newsmax, "I can imagine that the Trump 47 Justice Department is not going to have any patience for this Democrat lawfare over the next 4 years." He is a former chief counsel for the Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley, argued that James would be in violation of the U.S. Code, the conspiracy against rights, if she continues to go after her political enemies. In response to a Wall Street Journal report linking Davis to the White House counsel role under Trump, the lawyer suggested that his ambitions lie elsewhere. He said, "No, thank you. I want to serve as the viceroy." On the text line, texter says, this is Jennifer. "Still smiling," she said. "So am I, Jennifer." "Yep, I can't wipe the smile off my face. Still having calls and texts and grateful prayers from friends who are so relieved. They're so relieved." You know, that's a good way to put it, Jennifer. I've heard that from a lot of people, that there's just like this heavy weight lifted off, that we have that feeling of relief, knowing that there's going to be fairness in our government again. She goes on to write, "And I'm finding out that there's just as much the males as the females. Males were putting on a better front than we were before the late night election press finally said President-elect Trump." Look, he won across all demographics. I wish I had the numbers in front of me, but he had gains in just about every single demographic. Males, females, Latinos, the list goes on. Young people, blacks, young black males specifically. And I think that's what just really bothers Kamala Harris more so than anything. They're really browbeating some of the blacks for supporting Donald Trump, as if the color of their skin should make their allegiance to be only to the Democrats. And that's the failure on the Democrat Party's part. They got to stop thinking about, well, you're black or you're brown, so you should be automatically support a Democrat. Before they're black, they're Americans. Before they're brown, they're Americans. And as an American, they're fed up with the leadership or lack of leadership that we've had these past 4 years with Kamala Harris at the helm. Faye writes, "Good morning, Joey. It's Tom. The Democrats realized Trump not only won the electoral vote, but also the popular vote and the Catholic vote." That's one of those demos too. He won big among Catholics and among people of faith. Faye says, we ordinary citizens want no part of their insanity and voted that way. I hope Trump can add as many conservative judges as possible as quickly as possible. Cackles may have won more votes from women, but I'm not one of those. I'm not one of the lowlifes. Thank you, Faye. She says, thanks, Joey, for your hard work this week. Hey, look, it's my job, Faye, and I love it. I enjoy it. Someone sent me a meme here on the text line. Boy, this is good. Your texts are welcome, by the way. You can email me, too, joey@joeyhudson.com. Messages on the MyPillow message line, too, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and use promo code Joey when you go to MyPillow.com to take advantage of some of the great deals that Mike Lindell has for you. I mean, these pillows, go ahead and stock up. If you're looking for Christmas gifts, and it's not too early, Christmas is going to be here soon, folks, then take advantage of the standard MyPillow. They're typically $49.98. When you use promo code Joey, you're going to get them for $14.98. Now, again, there's a limit of 10. But don't miss out on this amazing deal while the supplies last. Go to MyPillow.com, or you can call 800-893-4059, 800-893-4059, and pick up yours today when you use promo code Joey. But I love getting your messages. So be sure and you can call the MyPillow message line, leave me a message. But someone sent me a meme, and it says, my pronouns are he won. That's my pronouns, and I typically I don't really list my pronouns, but I think I'm gonna put those on my email signature. What do you think? He won. Texter says, Joey, America needs to make every male immigrant join the Marines or Army. They could be registered. I know it's impossible because of the language barrier, but isn't it a nice thought? I think it would change a lot of minds, and they would be crossing the border back to Mexico. Have a great day. Well, it's not out of the question. And as far as the language barrier, teach them to speak English. I mean, that's pretty simple. I told you, speaking of illegals, I told you that there's reports that there's going to be a flood of illegals coming in between now and November 20th because word has gotten out that you better hurry because Donald Trump's going to close the border down. Well, there's a report yesterday afternoon that some of there's a big caravan on its way. We've seen some images of the caravan. Reports from the Border Patrol yesterday and from Homeland Security that some of the caravan, some of the thousands that were part of it, have turned around and gone back because they heard about the results of the election, and they don't want to take their chances of coming here and then being deported. So they've gone back to their homeland. Newsweek reported that a Cuban immigrant, Philippe, spoke to them and talked about the victory of Trump and said, this is the end of my dream of getting out of Cuba. And word evidently has been spread pretty quickly on social media to turn around and go back. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.